Lamb tartare. Our goal today, and the tartare I'm going to show you how to make, it's going to be beguilingly simple. Tartare is the ultimate embrace of your omnivory. It helps us remember what we are. We are eaters of raw flesh. There's something about the cooking process that allows you to suspend for a second the awareness that you're eating a sentient being. But with tartare, it's unmistakable. You are a meat eater. Yeah, right, Pat. No way, bro.
That guy right there. As much because mites got to it. And I know I've said, hey, don't worry about those mites. And I still say that. They don't spoil it. It's not rotted. It's not like spoilage, again, smells like death. And you'll see, roiling balls of maggots. And that's mites aren't that. So mites, these are the things actually, maybe we should just do a quick little list of things that can get on your prosciutto and be totally fine. Spider webs, no problem. Lots of dust, no problem. You carve off the outside before you really even eat. You don't eat any day outside after it's been hanging for a minimum of 2 years. You carve it off and you dispose of it because it's kind of dirty and gross. Super yellow fat, not a problem. It's just rancidified, and it's also exterior, so you end up carving that off. Little larvae. You'll get larvae on your prosciutto. At least you do, in the Pacific Northwest. And they will stay on the surface. And I think there's some kind of moth or something. At first, you will think you have maggots on your prosciutto, but you don't. They are little larvae. Maggots are a brighter, creamy color, and they're constantly roiling and being gross and penetrating to the center of your leg, and they reek. Not these little subtle moth larvae. They seem to just take up residence on the surface of the prosciutto, usually in the lard, if you've done a sunya, and then they disappear. So I haven't really researched them, but they're not a problem. The other thing, though, that I used to say was not a problem was mites, prosciutto mites. Cheese gets mites. I guess by mite, what we mean is little tiny, mostly innocuous insects. And what these guys do is they tunnel in and they eat prosciutto because, like you, they like prosciutto. And they tunnel. And I have had them over the years and never felt like, they might, they desiccate some parts of the prosciutto, meaning they dry it out a lot, particularly around the bone. I think their entry is the femoral artery, which opens right at the ball joint of the femur. And you will notice them probably before a year has passed. You will start to see dust on the ground beneath where your prosciutto is hanging. You'll see little bits of dust. And that's either like the sawdust from their burrowing or it's their little poops. And it's not spoiling the whole prosciutto. It's not. But they can claim a significant chunk of it. And I've ignored them and not bothered about them so much over the years because they've never taken a significant chunk until this prosciutto. They basically, if we were to butcher this prosciutto behind me, they basically taken the top round, which is the inside muscle of the prosciutto. Not that it's hollow, but they're all in it and it doesn't taste good and it's super dry. And that's because of them. So they have finally, and I think maybe what I have been doing, because I've been ignoring them, is curing prosciuttos over the years, many years, never bothering. I've built up a significant population of prosciutto mites. And this has convinced me. And the prosciutto learning curve is slow, folks. Remember that. This is convinced because it takes 2 years to cure one. So you got to get started now. Put a prosciutto on salt every time you kill a pig so you can start your journeyman program in becoming a prosciutto curing expert. It takes many years. But I finally am at the point where I realize the benefit, and I might even say the imperative of the sunya, which is equal parts lard and flour. This is what I have done. We've talked about it before. And it does have other benefits. You know, it prevents the salt scabbing on the surface. But I think what I have found is that its primary benefit is the the repulsion of mites. They're not interested in that prosciutto and the lard. You mix lard and flour together, maybe some black pepper, and it makes a really perfect paste. And then you just cake it on after the prosciutto has been hanging for a couple months. You want it to get dry on the surface first, and then you cake it on. So I used to do sunya because I thought it was kind of fun and it looks pretty, not necessarily practical. But now it took me, man, how long have I been carrying prosciutto? 8 years to realize that eventually, if ignored, the mites will reproduce to such a degree that they will start taking appreciable quantities of prosciutto. That is unacceptable. And I think the way to combat that is sunya. So if you have prosciuttos hanging and you don't want to end up like me with a mite infestation, go ahead and sunya your prosciuttos. The sooner you sunya, the better. Okay? Sorry. So I would do it.